Guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica and I'm your host on this channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make a basic sleeve, but two ways on how to make it. The first method is the most popular method that everybody does, and yeah, it's quite simple, but the second one is more professional, and trust me, if you get the second one you'll never try making the first one again. Ever since I started using that second one, trust me, I've not been using the first one because it just makes your sleeve come out so well. Take a look at this. I used it for this, although this is an exaggerated sleeve, but I used it to draft out this particular one I have on. So if this is what you'll be interested in watching, please follow me to the workstation. Before we go there, have you subscribed to my channel? If you haven't, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe to my channel. It will not cost you anything. You just click on that red subscription button and you'll subscribe. Also, if you like this video, like the video, you thumbs up, and also share and leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you have any question, if you have any suggestion, if you have any addition, multiplication, I will roll. So whatever it is you have to say to me, please leave it in the comment section down below and I'll make sure to answer those questions or suggestions or whatever it is. So let's quickly get into this video and get it done. Now we want to start with the first sleeve, and the first thing you need to know is how to get your sleeve cap. And to get it is your bust measurement divided by 12 inches plus 1.5 inch. Now my bust measurement is 40 divided by 12, 3.3 plus 0.5 plus 3.8. So my sleeve cap will be 3.8 inches. So the next thing for me to do now is to measure my 3.8 inches. Yours will be different or might be different because we might not have the same body measurement. So just work with your own body measurement. So now you'll be having 3.8, and I'm just doing the same thing on the other side so I could have a straight line. And then after doing that, I draw an horizontal line connecting both lines together. After doing this, we already have our sleeve cap. To know the measurement for folding, you fold half of your measurement, half of your armhole measurement. My armhole measurement is 20 inches. I folded 10 inches. So now what I'm doing is I'm getting the full length of my sleeve. You can decide to do it short or long, depends on what you're working with. So now I'm doing the full length of my sleeve, leaving 1 inch at the bottom for seam allowance. Always leave out your seam allowance. So after doing that, I'm just cross-checking my line. If it's correct, you can see 10 inches. That's half of my armhole measurement. Then you slant your tape this way and measure whatever outcome you get. You divide that by 2. That's, you get the midpoint of that line. Now after getting the midpoint of the line, you go up by half an inch. Don't do more than half an inch, because now I want to get the back arm curve. Now after doing that, you connect from that half an inch to the sleeve head. Call it the sleeve head. You connect to the sleeve head, and then you connect a straight line down to where your sleeve cap is. Now after doing this, we already have our back measurement. After having our back measurement, we want to do the front armhole measurement also, because the front is always deeper than the back. Now you connect also from the sleeve head to that midpoint that we had earlier, but not on top of the half an inch, the main one that we had earlier. After doing that, you turn your curve ruler and connect to the bottom. Now what this does is it gives room for the bust and the other armhole measurement that we already have on our basic bodice pattern, and it makes them match perfectly. So now the next thing to do is your wrist if it's long, or your elbow, or wherever the sleeve is going to end, that place, just measure around it. You call it your round sleeve measurement. So when you measure your round sleeve measurement, you divide it by 2, and then you impute that measurement. After imputing it, you rule a straight line to connect those points together. You just connect it together, and then what I'm doing here is adding seam allowance. Although I didn't get it up to this side, don't do the same mistake that I made. I just did it for the tutorial sake because my paper was not enough. But don't make that mistake, because you need it to get to where the sleeve cap is. Now what I'm doing is I'm folding up the allowance. You can fold it up or fold it down before cutting it, because if you just cut it directly like that, your sleeve will not come out well. This now will give it the allowance that it deserves. You'll see what I'm talking about very soon. So you just fold it up or fold it down, draw a line to connect, and then cut it out. It's as simple as that. There's no ceremony about it. You see now, it's not straight, and there is a reason for that. Now this is the reason for it. When you fold it in, when you're folding your allowance inside, and you cut it the way I cut it now, it will match up with your sleeve measurement. You can see it will match up with your sleeve measurement. But if you don't do that, it will not match, and then the inner sleeve will be shorter than the outer sleeve. Now the next thing to do is to cut um the remaining part that you need to cut. First of all, you cut the back. After cutting the back, you open it up and then cut the front. You don't cut the front when it's still closed, because if you do that, you're cutting both the front and the back together. What I'm doing here is applying my notch and then labeling it the back, so I would know it's the back and also the front. After doing that, I'll cut out the front armhole, as you can see me doing right now. So after cutting the front armhole, you can see the front and the back now is different. It's different. The front is deeper than the back, and that's it about this first sleeve. For the second sleeve, the second method in cutting a basic sleeve, all you need to do first is to draw a straight line at the middle of your paper or your pattern or your fabric, whatever you're using. It's advisable paper. You will see why it's advisable paper or pattern whenever by the end of this video. So you just draw a straight line. Make sure your line is straight. Then after doing that, from the edge of your paper or from the start point, you come down by 8 inches and you mark it for your bicep. For your bicep. So I'm marking my 8 inches. From the 8 inches where I marked, I'm coming down by 6 inches for my elbow. I'm coming down by 6 inches for my elbow measurement. After doing that, I'm going to rule an horizontal line across that measurement. So I'll have a straight line for the biceps, and also I'm going to do the same thing for the elbow. Then for you to know where your wrist is, it depends on the length of your sleeve. So what I'm doing here is measuring the full length of my sleeve. I'm measuring the full length of my sleeve, which is 26 inches. Now I just want you to see what I'm doing. That's why I moved the tape to the other side. After measuring it, I'll rule the same straight line that I did for the biceps and the elbow. After doing that, I'll just label the biceps, the elbow, and the wrist. Yeah, I wasn't sure you guys were seeing it on the other side. That's why I had to label it on this side also so that you can see what I did. Now, the next thing to do, your measurements, you divide them by 2 and put them equally on both sides. For instance, my bicep is 14 inches. So what I'm doing is I'm taking 7 inches on one side and 7 inches on the other side. So both of them equals 14 inches. My elbow measurement is 12 inches. So what I'm doing here, I'm measuring 6 inches on one side and 6 inches on the other side to make it a total of 12 inches. Now over to my wrist. My wrist measurement is 8 inches. So I'm measuring 4 inches on one side and 4 inches on the other side. After doing this, all you need to do is connect with a straight line, cutting across all of those points that you just measured, or from your bicep to your elbow and to your wrist. You do the same thing for the right side and for the left side, for the front and the back side. So that's basically what you do. You draw a straight line cutting across the biceps, elbow, and the wrist on both sides. After doing this, the next thing to do is divide your bicep measurement by 2. Each side, you divide it by 2. Now, that 7 inches I have, I divided it by 2, 3.5 inches on both sides. You need the midpoint of both sides. So 3.5 inches, 3.5 inches, and then I just ruled a straight line. For now, I'm not putting a measurement on that straight line. I'm just ruling a straight line to the head of the sleeve. After rolling that straight line, I'm connecting the midpoint of that my line to the other measurement, just like a triangle. As you can see, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but you can see it clearly. Just connecting it to cut across it, and all I'm doing here is labeling the back from the front. So now I want to differentiate where my back will be and where my front will be, so we'll be able to go ahead with the next step. The next thing to do is to measure that triangular line cutting across the front part. I already labeled it, so I know that this part will be my front. So after getting the measurement, which is 10.5, I divide that measurement by 4. I divide it by 4. Is a standard measurement. You divide that front line by 4. It's just standard. It's something that you have to do. It's not um does not have any other measurement. So just divide it by 4. And then, as you can see, I'm using my tape to divide it by 4 so I can have the accurate figure, which is 2.6 or thereabouts. So now I'm just marking that 4 dimensions. So as you're marking it, you have 3 points, but you have 4 segments. You have 3 points but 4 segments. Please just follow everything, and I promise you would understand it. So now I've marked my 2.6 around that line, and I'm coming down by 0.75. You can come down, depends on how busty the person that you're making the sleeve for, or you, how busty you are. That's how you come down, or the allowance you already put on the first two, on your basic bodies. Now that line, I just marked 5 inches on that line because it will be the midpoint of my armhole rather. So I just marked 5 inches, and I'm connecting that 0.75 inch that I went down by to that 5 inches. I'm connecting it to that 5 inches to form my curve and to the edge of the sleeve. So after doing that, I'll connect the sleeve head, that rounded thing we usually see on the sleeve curve. That's what we're about to do. Here it's advisable you do this first with a pencil before going back to highlight it with your marker pen. But if you're pretty confident with what you're doing, you can as well do it with your marker pen, and it will come out nice. But just so it will not be messy, you can do it with your pencil first. So after connecting that side, we're done with the front. We're going to the back now. You measure the line also the way you measured the other one. and but this time around you divide it by 3. You divide it by 3, not by 4. The front you divide by 4, while the back you divide by 3. After dividing it by 3, one segment you divide it by 2. That down segment you divide it by 2, because we want to get our back arm curve. Although it will not be as curvy as the front, but it will also have a little bit of curve. So now I'm dividing that first segment into 2. I'm dividing it by 2, and then I'll come down by 0.2 centimeters. 0.2 centimeters. Then I connect to that 5 inches line on that straight line. Connect it to that 5 inches on that straight line, and then rule my curve. After ruling my curve, I'll go up and draw that sleeve head for the back, so it will be rounded in both the front and the back. Like I said earlier, you can first of all do this part with your pencil, then go ahead to mark it out with your marker pen. And that's basically it for this. Now want to trace it out because the lines are too much, so the best thing to do is to trace it out and get the sleeve block. Now I'm just tracing and following the lines underneath. So here you need a tracing paper or a white pattern paper like I have here, and then trace out all the lines and connect them together. And then after doing that, you label it. And I'm adding my front and back notch to it. Then I'm adding half an inch seam allowance on all the sides except for the down part, which I added 1 inch for folding. So the allowance depends on you, whatever you want to add. You can decide to add as much as 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, but yeah, I think half an inch is okay for me. Also around the sleeve head, because you'll be attaching it to a bodice, so you have to put your seam allowance also. So now I'm putting my seam allowance all around, and I'm just tracing it out with my pattern, with my curve ruler rather. So the sleeve is ready basically, and trust me, if you settle down and you make this sleeve, you'll never use the other sleeve again because the outcome is mwah. So I'm cutting it out, and I just want to thank you guys for always coming back to my channel. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and share. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up so I'll know that my work is appreciated. Thank you very much. I love you all. This is the finished product of the sleeve. Bye.